She's got heart, she's got style, and she'll make it worth your while. She's got good news to help you. Get rid of the stress, just relax and be blessed. Listen, watch and grow with the Nadine Blair Show. Won't you come on in and be blessed? That's what you get when you're on the Nadine Blair Show. You'll be pointed to the Most High. Oh yeah, that's what you get when you're on the Nadine Blair Show. Won't you come on in and be blessed? That's what you get when you're on the Nadine Blair Show. You'll be pointed to the Most High. Oh yeah, that's what you get when you're on the Nadine Blair Show. You will be lifted and blessed by the Lord Most High when you're with the Nadine Blair Show.
Yes, that is my prayer, that you will be lifted and blessed by the Lord Most High when you're with the Nadine Blair Show. I am Nadine Blair. Wagwan, how you do? Well, we are in a new year and me get gifts, me get things, peoples. I want you to take a look at my set. Here is a beautiful cup my sister gave to me. And she says, you're not using my things. It says Dr. Blair on the cup. So Novia, thank you so much for my blessings. And then we have a cushion here that my dear friend Abigail Blair Black gave me for my birthday, actually. And if you could see it good, you would see that on it, it says, I know the plans I have for you. Thank you for that reminder, Abigail. And I want you to remember too, that God's plans for you are beautiful. He has everything for your life all worked out. He knows what he has for you. In fact, no matter how big the storm you're facing, God is still in control. Let me tell you a little story, true story. Hurricane Ian, you remember that one? The storm was coming, heading towards Jamaica, and frustration and frustration took a lot of us, because here is this storm and it's been a minute since we had a hurricane. We saw that hurricane coming and we got to praying again, and we're like, Lord, we deserve it, but please, we're begging you, push that hurricane away. Well, every time I looked on the NHC website, the hurricane kept going lower and lower. I even started to sing, and it dip, dip, dippy, dippy, dip, dip, dip. Yes, Hurricane Ian was dipping away from Jamaica. Sunday morning, I was in church, and by this time, it had passed Jamaica, passed the Cayman Islands, and kind of brushed Cuba a little bit, but now was heading towards Florida. This storm was so wide, though, that even though it was so far away, we were still feeling the effects here in Jamaica. We were singing in worship that Sunday morning, and I remember we're singing, You Are God Alone. From before time began, you were on your throne, you are God alone. And the worship was building up in my spirit, and I heard the Lord say, no matter how big the storm, God is bigger still. And I want to remind someone this morning, have a little faith in God. He knows the plans he has for you. And no matter how big the storm you are facing, no matter how dark and dangerous, God is bigger than the storm, better than the storm, and he has a way to work things out for your good. Here's a story from my dad, and he talks about waiting on God. Be blessed. Mama, Daddy. Hi, Dad.
Hi.
Now, Dad always tells of a story of how he met Mom, and I think it's always so fabulous. I want him to share it and see what you can get from it. So, Dad, you were in Bethel.
Yeah.
And that's Bethel Bible College, by the way. Yeah. So we're talking about when you pray to God for your wife.
Yeah.
All right. So you were finishing Bethel, or what was that story?
Well, I had in my mind But when I'm pastoring, I need to take care of a small family. So I went to the Lord in prayer. And I recall praying, especially when I prayed one day, when I was told I was appointed to serve. I went to the Lord and I said, Lord, I would like to be married. And I did say in 2 years' time.
So this is at the end of your term, at your time at Bethel?
Well, yes, at that time. So I said, Lord, you know who will be a suitable individual. So I'm going to ask you to choose that person and to put up that person for me, that nobody else will be able to have that individual. For you will keep that person until I am ready.
I'm talking with my dad, and he's telling his story about how he met Mom. So we heard now that he had the prayer, he prayed and asked the Lord to put up his wife, the woman that God has for him, and he didn't want anyone to touch him. You didn't know that, Mommy?
Long after.
Massa, any two. Go ahead, Dad. What else now?
I would not want to make the choice myself. I believe God has more wisdom than I have. So he would know who would suit the situation. I would want somebody, of course, who could sing. Don't have to sing like an angel, but have a good enough voice that an audience could recognize. Good quality. And then, when the time is right, that is when I would be ready. I would make it known to that person that God would reveal to me. And we would make our plans from there and go on to marriage. So it was
When you were ready.
when the Lord revealed.
So 2 years later now,
Yes.
you went back to the Lord and said,
And
okay,
said,
God,
Lord,
I'm ready.
I'm ready. So please tell me who you have put up for me. Strange enough, it would be to me. The Lord called the name of the person, Evon Foster. And I said, but Lord, I don't know her enough to make her the person. Why would you choose that person? And he said, well, I cannot tell you no.
When you're a leader.
But when you're a leader.
But when you become a leader, you will know the reason why.
So right then, you are being told that you're going to become a leader.
Yes. But nobody ever told me that. Nobody ever discussed leadership with me. But God said,
You never thought of that, yeah?
when you become a leader,
Right.
Thank you, Jesus.
you will know the reason why.
Yeah. Wow.
I depended on the Lord, who told me her name.
Right.
But then when I wrote to her and told her of my intentions, she wrote back to say, no way.
How did that make you feel?
She had planned to go back to Bible college after the graduation.
How did that make you feel?
Well, it only placed me at a place of doubt. But when once God had called the name, I had no longer doubts.
Right. You knew what God said.
Yes. So I decided to pursue.
Right.
And I wrote back that I could have told her by then that God had called her name.
But she wasn't having it.
That she had other plans. but I believe if God called her name, it had to be that way.
Right.
So I continued
The pursuit.
to pursue.
Love it. When she finally said yes, how did you feel?
Well, I felt that she had to say yes. For God doesn't work on one
That's
end
right.
of the line.
Oh, good.
He works on both. So I told her I believe she's the right person. For God called her by name. And so I continued insistently.
Right.
And she continued to say, it can't work. So
Years later, when you are now a leader and you're seeing what God was saying, did this whole scenario come back to your mind? Did you remember what God said and say, this is what he meant?
well, I remembered on many occasions, because as a leader, you had to have certain qualities. And she was there to encourage, to assist.
Right.
And so I could say, especially when I get to a church, I had certain decisions to make, and I'm making them. She's there cooperating,
Right.
supporting, and leading in on many occasions.
Yeah. What would you say to persons who are seeking that right spouse and they're in the waiting? What is your recommendation to them?
Do not make your own choice. If you have asked the Lord to do it for you, then you have to have faith in the Lord that He will. So wait on the Lord. And don't go ahead of God. If you decide you will accept whoever the Lord chooses, then do not make the choice yourself.
Herself, right.
Do not aim to marry a face.
Looks.
You have in your mind the type person you want to marry. And so when the right time comes, you will see that person, and something will say to your heart, there is the person that God has chosen.
I love it. Thank you, Daddy.
Okay.
There you have it. Just stories my daddy told me. Hi. Whew. Wow. I mean, I'm watching this and, every time I hear the story, it is just a beautiful reminder of, what peace we often forfeit, we miss out on. Oh, what needless pains we bear, all because we do not chillax and wait on the Lord. An absolutely beautiful story. And when we do it His way, well, everything works out for our good. My guest today, my other guest, is Latoya HD, Reverend Latoya Hall-Downer.
Listen, to do it on my own. Went through the logic, the pros and cons, but I can't seem to find the right formula to say, yeah, I made it. And waiting feels like eternity, but your spirit says, wait patiently. It's done best when it's done your way. Your way, I can never go wrong with your way. So I'll encourage myself to be strong, be still, and watch you come through your way. Faith comes by hearing your word, and I want to act while I wait, 'cause faith without works, still I keep missing the mark, and I have to go back to where it starts. But in time's fullness, you make a way. You make me shine like the sun's brightest ray. And I wonder how it would be if I did do it your way. Your way, I can never go wrong with your way. So I'll encourage myself to be strong, be still, and watch you come through your way. Say, hold on to God's promises. You cannot return without fulfilling the word. Prove him now, see if he will complete the work he started in you and me. We'll worship you, Lord, as we give our all to your way. I can never go wrong with your way. So I'll encourage myself to be strong, be still, and watch you come through. Say, your way. So encourage yourself in the Lord. Hey, be stronger, be still. Watch God come through. You gotta be strong, you gotta be still, and watch him work it out time after time. Yes, be strong, be still. Watch him come through. 'Cause I promised
Oh my God. I didn't know that the tears were going to come early. That was just so powerful, so beautiful. Latoya HD, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
You are beautiful.
Aww.
The worship, I mean, I always tell you this, that you command the presence of God, and you have a way of ushering us into his presence, and it is absolutely beautiful. Wagwan.
I am well.
It's so good to see you. So good to see you. I could talk about things. What a journey.
I expect this so early.
Yeah. And then you see how God work. You singing, and you think you're singing to bless the people, which you were, but you sit down and you hear the song
too often,
and I watch and you sing it back to yourself.
Too often.
God does that.
The entire album,
Your Way, that's the name of the album.
That's the name of the album. The entire album, the process of it, sometimes listening back to the songs when you're going through different challenges in life, and you hear yourself speaking into the lives of others.
Yes.
Because as a worship leader, you have that responsibility where it's not about you. It has nothing to do with you in that moment. When you are on assignment, then you forget about self. You forget about what you're going through. You put that on the back burner because you have a duty to carry out. So in those down times when you need a word for yourself, and there are times when these same songs come right back around and just
sing it back to yourself. Yes, man.
And I'm like, wow.
Yeah. God has a way. God has a way.
Indeed.
Your music journey didn't start yesterday. It started from last year. I mean,
I'm a navel string cut, really.
Long time ago. Let's talk a little bit about that journey. Where did the music begin with Latoya?
The music started from in the womb, I guess. My mother is pretty musical as well. So we have the balance in the family. Mommy is the musical one. That is drama. That is just all drama. And so, from there, the love for music, I guess, would have been passed on to me. But it got activated when I was dedicated specially for music.
Yes.
My parents took me to the altar one Sunday, and the preacher had said, if it is that you want your child or your children to be involved in music ministry or specially dedicated for music ministry, take them to the altar. And they did that. And my life has played out or manifested
on that prayer
right throughout to
that
this
was
very day.
That Clifton?
That was Clifton New Testament Church of God.
And that was Bishop
Stevenson.
Yes.
Yep.
Wow.
And it's so funny because years later it would come back full circle where I would be serving as music minister at the church that Reverend Samuels was pastoring.
That's right, at Escarpment Road New Testament Church.
Correct.
Wow. I didn't even line that up. That's awesome.
Listen, my entire life has and the journey from then to this very moment.
Yes.
And it's only in hindsight that you will see how God has been orchestrating things and putting things together.
So and Joseph and the rest of them,
And when it looks in, but because you're in this, when you're in the situation, you don't see the bigger picture. You don't have the full scope. You're just in that little spot.
Yes.
And you think that it's so insurmountable.
Yes.
You think that you can't make it through. I can't do this. Why would you choose me to do this? Why would you put so much burden on me?
God has a better.
And when you would have come out of it, and when you would have learned from it, and when you're now stronger from it, and you're now pulling other people because of the authority that situation would have given you.
Because you win it, so you can't speak to it.
To look back at that, Nads, trust me. Believe me, to this very moment, I can say that the Lord has been orchestrating everything, the good, the bad, and everything
Nothing is
in
wasted.
between
Nothing is wasted.
for this moment.
Wow. I thought we skipped through
I know,
or
right?
something. But you've not only been involved in music. I love to call her Reverend, because she's a Reverend. Reverend Latoya Hall-Downer.
Yes.
So you have the music. Then, Mrs., you couldn't park in her music. What made
I would have wanted to,
Yes.
to be very honest. As a matter of fact, I wanted to be an accountant because I love numbers, and in school, business was what I was drawn to. And my parents said, "Well, get the academia part, solidified. Music will always be there. It's not gonna leave you." So that's what I was pursuing.
Yeah.
But then the Lord just kind of
turn it around?
put me into teaching, which was
That's right, because you were a teacher.
that was something that I did not want. Listen, if I showed you something 2 times,
Yes,
and you didn't get it,
you're on your own.
You're on.
Yeah.
And from there, the Lord just orchestrated everything, and then music was just part of me from age 3 actively until age 7. I started to learn to play the piano, and then from there, I joined the Grace Thrillers at age 14.
Yes.
And then it just catapulted from there.
So Pastor Steve prayed over you at 3
Before 3.
or before 3. You
I started singing in church at 3.
You start singing at church at 3. You start.
Playing.
Mother say, "Okay, since Pastor pray over here, all these things are happening. We're gonna send you to piano class."
That's right.
Parents, don't give up on your children. Send them to the piano class. So you went to the piano class, and then you started singing with them. You never see Grace Thrillers in your list of things. At 7 or 13, you weren't thinking.
Not really, but it was kind of a smooth transition because they're my godparents. The Willises are one set of my godparents. And so when I
We
was
have a
in...
clip of you singing with the Grace Thrillers.
Oh, really?
Yes. So we'll show that.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so in primary school, the Willis children, Orain, Ryan, and Shireen,
Yes.
and myself, we would call ourselves the Young Thrillers, and we would sing at
at that.
school events. We would open concerts for Grace Thrillers. So the transition was pretty smooth.
Yes.
My music teacher was the bass player for Grace Thrillers, Delroy Thomas.
Delhi.
Maestro, Rabbi,
Listen.
manners and respect
Yes,
all
man.
the time, and from
And I
there,
remember when he was teaching you, and sometimes
And you
I
should
wish
have come to the
I should have
classes.
come to the class.
yeah, but we press on.
Yes.
Yeah, so from there, it just evolved.
Yeah.
It just evolved.
God knew your steps. And as I was saying earlier, I know the plans I have for you. And he knew, so it's not even wave the hand and perhaps here you are. This journey and all the bumps, as we were saying, along the way took you to where you are.
Indeed.
What was the greatest lesson that you learned as a teacher? The one that you didn't really want to do? Because if you don't get it, God help you.
I learned very quickly that there was purpose with me being in the classroom because I would get through to students in a way that other teachers wouldn't. Issues that other teachers would have with students, I don't have that issue.
Wow.
Why? Because I would have somehow connected with them
Yes.
on a particular level
That's a gift.
where they don't give me the trouble that I'm sorry for the other teachers that encountered those issues, but I didn't have, because I think the Lord gave me the ability to switch.
Yeah.
And to when the time came, at one school they used to call me drill sergeant. They say, that teacher can't smile. I'm like, there's nothing to smile about. Get to your class. you know, but I had the ability to switch between the seriousness, to command the seriousness, as well as to connect to their hearts and to their lives.
That is a gift.
And music helped somewhat with that as well. When they would have found out that, okay, you know, Miss Hall or Mrs. Hall-Downer eventually, that Mrs. Hall-Downer can sing, or Mrs. Hall-Downer is this person, and they see me on TV. Miss, I saw you on my TV. And, you know, and those kind of things kind of just open, you know, give you an opening to talk about things.
So you saw the purpose. Yeah.
And
I still see it now, because you have a way with young people, even your singers and some of the people in the video just now, and just how you connect with younger people.
LHD vocals.
Yeah.
The love is real.
Yeah.
The love is real. I mean, each of them would have been, you know, outside of Joseph, who, you know, we're coming from Nicotine the others are students who at different parts of life, whether it's church or within the school system. And I would always say to people, there are some students who you impact for a season, and there are some who are just drawn to you, and they stay even beyond the teaching years. And many of them, that's how it came about.
Wow.
And they just stay. They just stay. And I'm very proud of them. I'm very, very proud of them. When I started with LHD vocals, they weren't as...
And LHD vocals, Latoya HD vocals.
Right. When I started with them, they weren't as sharp as they are now. But over time, they've just... you know, and we've grown together as a family. And I'll always say it in workshops that the relationship off stage is so much more important than your relationship on stage. Because your relationship off stage fuels what happens
the energy
on stage. Because if it is I'm on stage with you and I don't like you, and I'm not talking to you, then, you know, that is going to hinder the worship. It's going, I'm not going to be able to flow with you, as opposed to when it is that we are united off stage, then on stage, it just goes. They just have to watch, they just see me, that one little gesture or so, and they know exactly where I'm going.
Yeah, and you're going into an area, because these are things that you would teach at your conference.
Correct.
Heart Cry
worship.
Tell us about the journey of Heart Cry.
Heart Cry came about as a result of my heart cry. It came about out of a yearning to be more in the presence of God, to have that oasis, you know, where you as a worship leader, you're always pouring out. Music practitioners, we're always pouring out. We're there Sunday after Sunday, Sabbath after Sabbath, and we're pouring out, and we don't get poured into as much as we have to pour out. And so I personally needed that space, that time where I could just and allow the Lord to pour into me, to be around the people who are like-minded, and to have that worship experience that we so very often have to execute on stage, to just be in the audience and be part of that. And that's how Heart Cry Worship Conference came about. This year is going to be the 7th year.
Wow.
The 7th year. Indeed. And I mean...
And you started at Clifton.
I started at
where
Clifton.
The prayer was prayed over you.
Indeed.
That's the way things can come right around.
It's crazy. It is crazy.
I am talking with Latoya HD, Reverend Latoya HD, and I hope you're getting little things from her story, her journey. We'll talk some more about things that probably never go the way she planned, and God turned it around to make it his way. Back in a moment. You're watching The Nadine Blair Show. For every season of The Nadine Blair Show, we have decided that we will be giving back. We call it Project Hope. And for this season, we will be helping a mother of 4 children. 3 of them are her own. One of them, well, his mother decided she didn't want to have anything to do with him. And so this mother took him on, and she's looking after these 4 children all by herself. Now, when you look at these pictures, her home needs a proper roofing. And we're going to make that happen for this season of Project Hope. She's open to the elements, wind, rain, creatures flying in and out. And while they sleep, well, that's if they sleep, she has to be on watch to make sure that all is well for the home. Visit SpurOpen.com/Project Hope and give what you can, and let's help them get their roof on and sealed. Project Hope, a part of the Nadine Blair Show Give Back opportunity. Let's do this for the glory of God and for this mother.
Sing Your Song by Nadine Blair, available on Amazon, or call 876-550-1154.
The Nadine Blair Show comes to you with the kind support of Caribbean Gospel TV, CGTV, Light from the Caribbean, lighting the world. Dr. Phill Entertainment, great audio, great video, superior quality. LoveTV, Gorgeous Flowers, Allison Dexter and Almade Designs. Embrace Medical Supplies and Equipment Limited, consistent supply of quality medical supplies. Doctors to Health, Doctors Derek and Dorrit Sr., providing the best care for optimal health. Allowed to Shine Ministries, a brisk shipping and brokerage consultant. Fast, efficient, reliable, and hardcore productions.
Welcome back. This is the Nadine Blair Show, and I'm talking with Reverend, I almost said Doctor, Latoya HD. She's my guest for today. Latoya, were there ever times that you felt like you would give up?
Many.
I mean, you have a journey that's wow. I remember us walking, going up Prayer Mountain one morning.
Yes.
Why did you decide to come with me that time? And that was just, it was just Latoya and I. We just had that time when we went up the mountain to pray and put some things before the Lord.
Because 1 chases 1,000
Yeah.
and 2 puts 10,000 to flight.
Yeah.
I think life was very overwhelming at that time, and we just had each other's back.
Yeah.
In that moment, you needed a shoulder, I needed a shoulder, and so we just held hands and went up the mountain.
And we prayed. We
And
never got too far because the knee. But it was a beautiful time.
Indeed.
And I learned a lesson in the moment, and a lesson that I keep remembering, that, you know, I would look on you and I'm like, she's got it all together, and, you know, she have no problem, you know. And then we're talking and we're sharing, and I'm like, oh, she does have problems. Wait a minute. Oh, okay. And I value that we were able to be open and honest with each other, and I was able to share too. But sometimes for those who are watching now, you may be looking at people and thinking, they're so cool. Holy power, we don't cool. Holy power, we have to be strong for you sometimes. And it's not that easy all the time. But for you,
Perspective.
Yes, perspective.
For me, I have the mindset to, you know, especially when it comes on to doing kingdom work. I just block.
Yeah.
I
Ain't nobody got time to
block
sit.
me
Yeah.
out. There are times when I'm not so strong.
Yeah.
And there are times when it becomes so overwhelming that you feel as if the easier thing to do
Is to give up.
is to just, yeah. I remember some time ago, I was in a service, and I'm in church, literally in church, and worship is going on. I'm standing in the congregation, and I'm literally planning my funeral.
What?
And it was amazing, because worship is going on, and everybody
You're in the middle of worship.
In the middle of worship,
And you were
and you know, the team is there, and they normally, you know, once I'm there, they look at my face. They because they say that I wear my expressions on my face, and if something is not right, you're gonna see it on my face, and so on. And so they look at my face for cues. My face was very blank that evening because I wasn't there. I wasn't there. And it's amazing how in the midst of that low moment for me, the Lord began to speak to me about
Hallelujah.
somebody else.
Look at that.
I'm like, God, I'm not even worshiping. I'm not engaging
God
in
looking
worship.
on you and say, you have time. Anyway, so you need to talk.
You need to go and say
yes.
this, so and so, and
Yes.
listen, and that was where I broke.
Wow.
I broke. I'm like, God, I am here saying I cannot manage this.
Yes.
That I'm going through. It's too much now.
Yeah.
People say, yes, you're a superwoman.
Yeah.
And you don't feel things, and
Yeah.
you're able to manage your emotions.
Yes.
At that point, I was saying, God, it's too much. I can't take this anymore. And so I'm planning it out, and all that I'm going to do, and who I'm going to give letter to, and this and Ray, and all of that. And in the midst of that,
He was still seeing your heart. I
He
shall
sees
forever
your heart.
lift my eyes to Calvary. He looked beyond.
my faults and saw my needs. Yep. And when I delivered that word, because I had to wait until church was finished, and when I delivered that word, the person, she was floored. She was floored, and messaged me, you know, in the wee hours of the morning, still bawling, say, Auntie Latoya, it's after 2 and I'm still crying. And,
Wow.
and I'm like, you don't understand.
Yeah. You're at the end.
I was at my end. And I smile and I go on, because you have a responsibility. But then there are those
But
times.
he knew that even though you were feeling and thinking those things, he saw that you were willing to be used by him.
Nonetheless.
So he did see your heart. And that's why it's so important not to judge people sometimes. We look at people and we look at the outside and we even see what's going on. And I get very passionate on that. I don't like judging. I leave that to God. And the Bible tells us about that. I'm
Indeed.
so glad you never planned at the funeral. I would have killed you if you come say Carrialeisa. But I would just...
Listen, that's what my pastor said.
Wow.
But yeah. But in the midst of your lowest, God can still use you.
Yeah.
That was powerful for me.
Yeah.
When you're not thinking about, once it is that you have said yes.
Yes.
When you surrender your heart, your mind, your soul, everything to the Lord.
Yeah.
And you say, okay, God, you can use me.
Yes.
You know, give myself away and all of that nice, wonderful things.
Yes.
When the time comes to act that out, to live that out, and your heart is surrendered, even when your mind is not in the moment. Because there was a serious battle going on in the mind, like a
Yes.
whole warfare going on in the mind, to say, okay, this is
Hallelujah.
it. We don't know. You've done
Hallelujah.
enough. You're no longer relevant. It's time for you to pack up shop and give it a rest. And the Lord would step in that moment. And it gives me a new perspective on how I do what I do.
Mm-hmm.
You see, if I've been given an assignment by the Lord, I'm going to do it. In spite of how I feel personally,
Wow.
in spite of my financial situation, in spite of how things look physically,
Just go and get this done.
I'm here to do an assignment. And when the assignment is complete, the Lord will have me move on.
Yes.
And that is how my life has been. Ever since it's so funny how, you would have played that clip with Daddy Blair, because he was one of the first persons I spoke to when the conviction to do my ministerial license came about. When that conviction came, I was like, Lord, I'm a singer. I'm okay with being a singer. I'm okay with being a musician. I'm okay with doing background vocals for people. Arranging vocals and just teaching people.
And you're very good at that, by the way.
And I was okay. But then the Lord said expansion of ministry.
I remember when you said that word. Expansion of ministry.
And I'm like, expansion, okay, that means
What that mean?
Okay, I'm gonna go on the main stage and sing. Okay, well, that's okay.
More singing.
Yeah, more singing. No. He would have opened the door for me to work not only in the gospel fraternity, but in the industry itself.
And she get Grammy. We're talking with a Grammy Award winner. And to understand how it works, you sang for...
I worked on Toots and the Maytals album.
May his soul.
Rest in peace.
Enough Love, Genevieve. And he won a Grammy. And you working on the album. But so she's a Grammy awardee.
Yes, ma'am.
That's fabulous.
Praise
and you're
the Lord.
humble.
Because I understood very early that everything that I have, everything that I am, is because of God. It's not because of my own, talents and giftings. And He can take them away in a moment.
Yeah.
So what I have is not mine, and you get so caught up sometimes with the gift, the talent, and can I do all those slurs? Can I play all those chords? Can I do all those riffs and all of those things? And if I'm not matching up to the status quo and all of those things. But the truth is that when you open your mouth and the anointing comes through the sound,
yes,
I don't have to do a slur.
Yes, the anointing is enough.
It just has to be on key.
Yes, because all of us will know.
Listen. But I don't have to do the fandangles to prove that I'm anointed.
Yeah.
The anointing comes through.
I said
comes
to someone
through the life
once,
and relationship.
Make an impact, not just an impression. Yeah.
And so that has been life for me.
For you.
All these years. So
what's next? You got your album, Your Way, your Reverend. What are you doing with the Reverend?
So I am a credentialed minister with the Church of God
International,
known
as the New Testament in Jamaica and in some places in the world.
Thank you very much.
Yes, I have to. Yes, of course.
And I'm a music minister within the Church of God International.
That's awesome.
So
I just love this.
The world is
and she was a member of Perpetual Sounds of Praise, and I always say once a member, always a member. So she is a member.
Yes.
And that journey was great having you on that journey.
It was in that time that my love for praise and worship grew. It was in that time that I grew as a praise and worship leader.
Yes.
Because getting that platform to do worship for more than 15 minutes, have I had a worship session that ended too quickly?
You remember?
Yeah, perpetual praise. So having that time and learning the presence
in
those encounters.
I'm telling you, did we have
Priceless.
encounters?
Priceless.
And we're still
man.
having encounters with the new. And thank you for helping with the babies now, the current babies. Because along the journey, Latoya has always, I mean, you hear her on so many different songs that you probably don't even know, commercials and you don't know, and there is Latoya's voice. I usually ask my guests to leave an encouraging word, pour out from your heart to someone who just needs to be lifted right now.
Trust in the God that you have surrendered your life to. Your steps are ordered by Him. And as a result of that, absolutely every step is worth something. Every step has purpose. A step that you may think is a misstep or a mistake, all things work together for good. Learning from that mistake, learning from those times when you feel like you're so far from God and you have been so detached that God can't use you. It's a lie from the pit of hell. The mind, the enemy uses situations in our lives to look at the glass half empty. Say, okay, yeah, you've tarnished your name.
Yeah.
You've stepped, gone out.
Hallelujah.
You've not done things the way that people expect you to. But every step of the journey, when you trust the God that you have surrendered your life to, when He says move, you move. When He says stand still, be still and know that He is God. Be still and know that He is God. Be still and know that He is God. And so for every discouragement, for every obstacle, for every wall that you have run into, understand that God sees the bigger picture.
Yes.
And everything that looks like a mountain now is but a speck in the big scale of things.
I'm just remembering the story of the storm that I started the show with. No matter how big the storm, God is bigger still.
Indeed.
I love you.
I love you too.
And I really pray you all the best in your journey, wherever that takes you, however that looks. And I know, you think Grammy is it? You thunder the weight. There's going to be more that we'll hear about my sister friend Latoya, and I have something for you. But as we wrap and I get that gift for you, I just want to speak to someone that, and remind you what Latoya was just saying, that God has everything in control. Remember, the bigger the storm, God is bigger than that storm. And so Trish, no problem, just hand it to me here. I have something for you.
I see my picture.
And it always warms my heart to do this. And I want to read this over you and over your ministry. To Reverend Latoya HD Hall-Downer. And the HD is also for high definition. You are valuable and appreciated for being who you are and for what you do. You are a gem, rare and you shine. Your work speaks for you, and it screams excellence. That's why you are where you are now. Meticulous, perfectionist, creative, and just plain God blessed. I still see you standing on the side watching, and I believe you are dreaming. You started the journey of learning and carving the musical prowess, the heart for great things. You settled in the Word of God, and you developed in every area you could think of. I admire that about you, you know. You never stop. If you get something else, now she starts studying.
Gosh.
Wife, mother, teacher, reverend, and music. Yes, music is your heart. I recognize you, and I remind you today, never ever forget, you are valued. You just add your value of the minute, say it up at the top already. And appreciated by many, and I am one of them. Much love, my friend, Miss Baugh. This is for my dear friend Latoya HD. Thank you for giving to the Lord. Thank you for giving to the Lord.
Thank you.
I am a life that was changed. And for every cry you cry, go hold my hand now, come. For every cry you cry, and the Lord sees behind those tears and the smiles too that you put on, and that testimony you just gave, you blessed me so much. As a reminder, and you be reminded that God sees you. So many times, you know, people just want to be seen and want to be heard. People, yes, we are. You want to be heard. God heard you. That's not English. God heard you, and He's hearing you. And He's gonna blow your mind.
Amen.
And again, I pray a blessing on you, your album, your ministry. And don't forget me, because when you go up on a big stage now, biggest stage, me go say, hello. I know you
I'll
remember.
be grounded.
God bless you. I love you.
I love you too.
Rev Latoya HD. Wow. I'm so blessed, and I pray you have been blessed too. Another program, the Nadine Blair Show. What will we share next time? I don't know, but I do pray always that God will be in the midst to leave a word for you. Until next time, stay in His presence, no man. God bless you.
The Nadine Blair Show comes to you with the kind support of Caribbean Gospel TV, CGTV, Light from the Caribbean, lighting the world. Dr. Phill Entertainment, great audio, great video, superior quality. LoveTV, Gorgeous Flowers, Allison Dexter and Almade Designs. Embrace Medical Supplies and Equipment Limited, consistent supply of quality medical supplies. Doctors to Health, Doctors Derek and Dorrit Sr., providing the best care for optimal health. Allowed to Shine Ministries, a brisk shipping and brokerage consultant. Fast, efficient, reliable, and hardcore productions.